First, thanks for being here. We really appreciate you guys supporting us. Since I've last seen everybody in this room, we've made a lot of progress. Our team has been working extremely hard. We've had a couple scrimmages that we've seen some great things come out of, and obviously areas that we need to continue to grow. But I've been really pleased with just our progress. Those that have followed me for a long time know that we always just talk about trying to get 1% better, every day, every rep, every practice. And I feel like this team has really embraced that. And I think for that reason, we're in a good place. We don't want to be our best right now on October 31st, but I think we're in a really solid place. And, we'll continue to grow for, obviously a very big challenge for us on November 7th at NC State.
Coach, last time we talked, you mentioned how you wanted the newcomers to play with a sense of freedom. Well, it's been some time since then. Have you been able to kind of see what they do well and start really scheming up things for them and doing what they will excel out on the court?
Yeah, I think as we've gotten to this point, we're starting to identify roles for our players. We've had role meetings last week and this week, so they're very clear, about what they do best. And that's part of it. You let them play free for a while and identify what they do best and what they do best for the team. And so we've started to identify those. We've started to identify our kill shots. We've started to be a little bit more specific about shot selection and turnovers. We've talked a lot about our streaks, which is consecutive turnovers or consecutive bad shots. I think we're getting there. I don't know if we're quite there yet. We did have some injuries that really limited our lineups in our first scrimmage. Our second scrimmage, we started to have people back. So we're still kind of tinkering with lineups, figuring out who plays best with whom. But that'll take some time even as we get into games.
Follow-up for Deja. You mentioned how floor spacing was going to be a big emphasis this season. I know it's really early still, but have you gotten a sense of, okay, yeah, I have more room to operate on the court now that there's this more floor spaces everywhere?
Yes, ever since we've, like Coach said, been able to identify our roles, a lot of space has been able to open up, and I've been able to create for others as well, because one of my roles is to be a scorer and to get downhill. So as I get downhill, I can open up for a lot of the shooters that we have on the team.
Coach, of these new people, who have been the biggest names who stood out so far, and for Deja in a leadership position, who are some players that you've gone close to and seen a lot of during practice?
I think our newcomers, I could probably tell you a different person every day, and that's a really good thing. I think they're all competing at a high level. I think they're all finding a way to impact, and each day one seems to be better than the other. And like I said, I think that's a really good thing. We had a conversation with our team on Monday that we're not going to have enough minutes for the depth on this team. And, that means a couple things. One, we have to have a sense of we over me, that maybe I don't get as many minutes as I want because we are really deep. And two, we can't get complacent, because if we get complacent, there's somebody right behind you. So I think that's a credit to all of our players who are competing hard. With that being said, I think a newcomer I haven't talked about as much is Liv Porter. She will be our point guard. She will be our starting point guard and taking over that reins from J-Mac, and she has earned that. Someone who didn't, she was at Michigan State. She didn't play any minutes for them last year, but to come in at the level that she's competing at, I think she just has a really great presence about her, which you have to have as a point guard. She knows when to score. She knows when to create. She gets the team organized and under control and under the correct tempo. She's really stood out to me significantly, especially as, the last couple weeks, things have changed in practice. Practice is always tough, but the urgency of being prepared and being ready is at 100. And I think for her not to get rattled, for her to continue to be who she's been, regardless of the pressure I put on them, that's been really impressive.
And to answer your question, I don't think it's just one particular player that I've been close with as a leader. I try to see who needs me the most on each day. It may be a newcomer, or maybe someone that's been here. So I just try to be that leader that identifies who needs me more than others in that day, and I just try to do my best to pour into them.
Deja, can you expand upon that a little bit and just talk about your leadership style and how it may be different from J-Mac or from Octavia a few seasons ago? And then, Coach, can you just after she's finished, just talk about the growth you've seen in her as a leader?
Yeah, so At first, I was more of just a leader by my effort. I just want to go out there and show you how to lead. But this year, I've been more vocal, leading through just positive energy, being more whatever my team needs. I just try to be that voice. I just try to be the extension of the coach, try to say what she's thinking without asking her. So just identifying things that we need to get done or that we need to continue to do better. But I just see myself as very positive. I don't try to yell at them. I try to empower them as much as I can.
Yeah, it's funny. We just had this conversation yesterday in Deja's role meeting. So in our role meetings, we identify what we need from them on the court, so they have an on-court role. And then every player on our team has a leadership role, because I'm a strong believer that everybody can be a leader in their own way. And so we just were talking about this yesterday, and I told Deja at the end of our meeting, as proud as I am of her with her growth on the court, I am more proud of how she's grown as a leader. Because she's right. I mean, early in her career, she's just going out and playing. She's playing hard, and, her effort is how she led. Where now, she understands so much more about what leadership is and what it is required, what's required and what is demanded from a player of her stature. I've talked to her a lot. She can't have an off day. She can't, and I'm not talking about making and missing shots. I'm talking about what she brings, because the number one role that Deja has as a leader is she's going to set the tone for this team. And that's in practice, that's in games, that's through adversity, that's through good times, that's off the court. She is the one they look at the most. Doesn't mean there's not other leaders. And so she can't have an off day, and she knows that. And I expect her every time she comes on the court to set the tone of what this practice is going to be like, with her toughness, with her effort, and with her communication. Deja is an elite communicator. Right, and that's you come and watch us. You will see that, because you'll see her on the court and you'll see her call out, every action and what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to do it. But she's also elite off the court, exactly what she's talking about. She's going to go grab a player and check on her and tell that individual what she needs, and then the next time she's off, she's going to go grab another player. Those little things are what all contribute to make her, just an excellent leader. And she's going to keep growing, but all those things have contributed to her leadership.
Deja, obviously a productive offseason prior to this. What are some big takeaways from your time overseas and coming into the opening game? And for Coach, what were your thoughts watching her put up big numbers overseas, and has it changed how much you're looking forward to seeing her perform this regular season?
One of my biggest takeaways was, I don't know if you guys know, but overseas, we didn't have a coach. They were sitting on the sidelines, and if we looked at them, we got a text. So I think one of the biggest things was just me being able to identify what we need right here, just being a leader on the court, like I mentioned earlier, and just identify things before the coach has to tell us, because I just want to be more player-led, and coach has emphasized that since I've been here. So I just want this team to be more player-led. I want to be able to identify things early and let my team know, and just emphasize that. And also next play mentality. If I make a mistake or my team make a mistake, just having that next play to get it back and be better.
Yeah, I think for us, watching her on that stage was really exciting. When you have a great player in your program and also a great leader and great person, you want opportunities for them. So I think more than anything, we were just excited about that opportunity for her. With that being said, I was not surprised by her performance. I have said this a lot. I think Deja is one of the best guards in the American and needs to be in the conversation of more than that. And she has to continue to prove that, right? But I see it every day, so it's easy for me to identify that. I see it every day. And so when she was out on that stage against professionals and high-level international players, I thought she was the most efficient player on that team. And again, I was not surprised, because we prepare for that. Every day that we're in here, we're preparing to be the very best we can, regardless of the game, the opponent, period. Right? We talk about bringing our best all the time, and Deja brought her best. And so we're proud of her for that. But I also want that to kind of just jumpstart her into, the next thing, right? So she's had this opportunity. What's the next thing? Let's be a pro, and let's continue to work to figure out how to get you there so that you can be a pro.
I'm going to poach Hunter's question from the men's basketball one, but there's a lot of scrimmages you just talked about. Is there any part of the team that's saying, all right, we don't want to scrimmage each other anymore, we want to go out there and face another opponent?
Well, we're a little bit different and lucky because we have a group of practice guys that come in and compete against every day. And they're wonderful, so shout out to our practice squad. I mean, we have a group of very loyal, gosh, we got 6, 7, 8
Yeah.
sometimes that are out there, guys that come every day, and they come for free. Like, we give them some gear, we give them some shoes, and say, please come. And they do a really good job. So it's a little bit different for us for that reason, because we are going against somebody different every day. We have the luxury of them being able to help prep us for those scrimmages. You know, they're playing our opponent, they're playing their personnel, but they're a huge asset to what we do here.
Coach, as the season approaches, how much do you turn to your opponent? Or are you still just working on you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you have to have a balance. You know, we had our final scrimmage on Saturday, and the beginning of this week, we've really focused on us, continuing to clean up, add some things, you know, trying to get as prepared as we can for us for NC State. That will turn probably in the next couple days in terms of, yeah, we still have things that we need to work on, but obviously we need to be prepared for NC State. So, you know, finding that balance is important. Sometimes it can be difficult, but I think, you know, I actually think this year we've done a really good job of trying not to look too far ahead and just trying to be the best that we can be, because, you know, preparing is important, and you know, I'm huge on that. I feel like my job is to have our team prepared, and if they're not, then that's my fault. But there's also a sense of we have to go out and play too, and so you don't want to maybe handcuff them so much that they're thinking so much about the opponent instead of thinking about what we need to do best. And I feel like, you know, that we've maybe have a little better balance about that this year, and I feel good about where we are.
Two-part question for Deja. I know that they already asked about the FIBA 3v3. I want to ask, what's the transition like switching back to 5-on-5, and did you get the steak when you got home?
The transition it was very easy, I can say. Just the biggest difference is the pace. You know, 3v3 is just half court, but we're 12-second shot clock. I'm very grateful for 5-on-5. I was so excited just to be able to run up and down the court. So yeah, it wasn't a big difference, but I think it helped me in regards of my pace and just my stamina throughout 5v5. And I did get a steak when I got back. Yeah.
Where is it from?
I don't even know.
On the grill? You cook it?
It wasn't.
No?
I think like Outback or something, or
It's not a
Longhorn.
steak.
It was one of those.
That's not a steak.
It wasn't the real. Yeah, it wasn't. I just had to get the quickest option. As soon as I landed, I said, "Let's go to the closest restaurant because I want me a steak."
All right, we're gonna work on that. See if we can get you a better steak.
For sure.
Coach, anyone who has followed your program knows that play with heart is the mantra for this team. Have you seen the newcomers adopt that as you head into the first game of the season?
Our newcomers have been tremendous in buying into our culture of playing with heart. And I think that's a big reason why I feel confident about where we are right now. I mean, I don't know what we're going to look like on Tuesday in terms of executing and, you know, walking into that environment, but I feel really good about the people that I have. And that's recruiting the right people, but that's also those people buying in to what we're trying to do. And so, you know, knock on wood, I mean, I have not had to get on this team about their effort. I have not had to get on this team about their body language. I have not had to get on this team about being selfish. They're almost not selfish enough. And again, I think that's all tied into, you know, what heart means to us. Every year we have a meeting, which is, I think, the most important meeting that we have, where we sit down and we go through what each of our letters mean to this team, because I don't want it to be about what I think heart is, because we are a team, right? And so they might have a different opinion on what effort looks like and accountability looks like and toughness. So every year we have, you know, that meeting, and I thought this was one of the best meetings that we had, of players that were very passionate about what they wanted on, you know, our acronym, what they wanted it to mean. And they have carried that over and they've done it. And, you know, that's exciting to me, because I think, you know, again, talent and skill is very important. We all know that. But teamwork, chemistry, culture, trumps that, in my opinion. And I feel like we have the possibility of a team to be one of those teams this year where we're going to be able to overcome some things because of who we are, not what we are. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you coming out.